We are so excited about our program. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about our speakers, and then I'll let them take it from there. First up, we have Emily Hicks with Emily Hicks Law. I work on her team at the law firm with her, and we are officially hosting today. So if you have any questions for me or for her afterwards, please find us. Emily has proudly called Jacksonville her home since 2006, and she earned her law degree from New York. She went to Florida State. She ended up here with her husband and her 3 girls. She opened her own practice in 2011. She focuses on estate law now. And next up, we have Detective Fultz, and he has been in the law enforcement field for so long. And I have gotten a chance to speak with him a few times over the past few weeks, and I have just learned something new with every one of our conversations. So he is a wealth of knowledge, and I really look forward to see what he has in store for you guys today. And then we have our sheriff with us today, which we are so excited. So he's going to share all kinds of things of what's happening in St. Johns County. And him and Detective Fultz will kind of work together to share some examples with you guys on what's happening and how they're trying to prevent these things from happening. And then we'll open it up for questions. So first, I will turn it over to Miss Emily Hicks.
Thank you, guys. I'm Emily Hicks. It's so great to see such a wonderful turnout here today, and I'm so excited that we have such a wonderful participation with the Sheriff's Office. We're so blessed to have our sheriff and all of the wonderful support that we have here in St. Johns County, so thank you guys so much. I'm going first so that you're still awake, because I know that y'all are like, oh God, she's gonna talk about legal stuff, so let me get some more coffee. But what I want to talk about is, from my perspective, what we can do to hopefully prevent a lot of the crazy things that you're going to hear about from them from happening to you and your family. And I'll give you a couple of examples of some clients that I have and some issues that we deal with. So first of all, like Brittany said, I do estate planning and I work with elders. I do elder law as well. And a lot of times when people come to me, the first thing that they say is, oh God, I've got to do my will. I have to do a will. I haven't done it yet. You know, I know I need to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you do need to do that. And it's an important thing, you know, the distribution of your assets. But what most people don't focus on is what we're going to talk about today, and that's incapacity planning. It's planning for while you are still alive, which is most important to me because I want to make sure that you're well taken care of and that you have the right people in the right places that can make decisions for you if you can't make them for yourself. So there's a lot of nuances, but it's a little tricky. You know, there's a lot of time that happens in between the point in time where, I'm just gonna say, mom or your dad starts experiencing diminished capacity to actually being diagnosed with Alzheimer's or with whatever. Like with my mother, for instance, had Parkinson's. There was a very long years period of time where she was experiencing diminished capacity for, probably 5 years. And then once we really realized something was wrong, you feel so stupid. You're like, well, of course something's wrong, but you don't see it at the time, right? Because it happens so slowly, and it's little things here and there, and you're like, well, that's different, but whatever. So then it took about a year for her to actually get the actual diagnosis. Okay, so the problem, with incapacity planning is a lot of times they're not technically incapacitated yet. So when we do a revocable trust, for instance, you have incapacity planning in your revocable trust, which is great. However, there's a method to determining incapacity in that, because you do want to protect yourself of someone coming in and taking your trust assets. You don't want, it's a tricky situation because you don't want someone to just be able to come in and do things, but you also need somebody to just come in and do things. So that's where the power of attorney comes in. And the power of attorney is the most important legal document you'll ever have, in my opinion. So a power of attorney changed quite a bit in Florida back in 2011. The legislature changed it to where it is no longer what we call springing. So used to be where you wanted a power of attorney when I become incapacitated, then this person can do this, and this for me, right? And that's what everybody still kind of thinks it says. It's not like that. It is effective immediately. And that's very scary because it's effective immediately. So we definitely want to have the right people in the right jobs, right? But the other great thing about it being effective immediately is that we can cover that period of time. You know, if you want to, look on the bright side, the advantage of that is covering that period of time between mom starting to have some decline, but we don't really know what's going on. We don't really have she's not really incapacitated. We don't have a diagnosis, we don't have anything like that. But it allows your trusted, person to come into play at that point and start helping, becoming a part of the conversations with your bank, with your financial institutions, so that we can head off, some of these problems. And for instance, I'll give you an example. I have this really lovely client, among many lovely clients, that came in and, she had started experiencing a little bit of just memory, issues, but nothing really major. She comes in with her daughter, and we do a full estate plan, which was wonderful, and everything's great. And the daughter calls me the next week and is like, Mom just wired $30,000 to this guy in like Nigeria or wherever, And I'm like, oh God. Okay. So in the meantime, we've done full estate plan. We've done, I think we deeded her house to her trust, whatever. Then she gets one of these other lovely letters in the mail that you will all get if you ever have a deed recorded about, you need to send me $200 to make sure your title to your deed is correct, or whatever it says. So she comes in the office and she's all frantic, like, what does this mean? I thought you were handling this. I said, of course, it's just a scam, don't worry about it. And we sat down and we talked. And I kind of explained to her, so she's a widow, okay? I'll just tell you the instances that I see, but I'm not gonna tell you a lot of, different crimes, because these guys can tell you way more than I can. They see a lot more than I do. But what I see is Facebook. It's all Facebook. When you become a widow or a widower, these people are so incredibly honed in to what is going on with you. They know the exact period of time that you are most vulnerable to be hit up and friended, and they're friending your friends, and they're getting their little claws in. And this is what happened with her. She had been widowed for about 7, 8, maybe 10 years, and developed this relationship with this man, whoever this person was. And the sad thing is, it's really, really difficult when you start experiencing diminished capacity. You really, and I know a lot of you have probably had experience with this with your families or loved ones or friends, you are no longer really yourself in a lot of ways. So she was quite lonely, even though she has family around. She's quite lonely, she's isolated, especially since COVID. And she did not want to give up their relationship. Even though she knows, we spoke face to face, I said, this person is not real. He doesn't have a daughter who needs surgery, like this isn't happening. And I know, I'm not doing it. And then she does it again, So luckily for us, we could go into action because we had a plan. We had a power of attorney. We went to the bank. We went, froze everything, or put all the financial institutions on high alert. We kind of took over the Facebook, it's that they don't want to give it up though. And even though she knows it's not real, she doesn't want to give up that relationship. And I understand that. And it's so incredibly difficult because the other thing, if you don't have power of attorney, or you don't have anybody, looking out for you, I like to talk about kind of the dark side of not having any planning for incapacity or anything like that, and that's guardianship. And I don't know have y'all ever watched that show on Netflix? There's a really terrible show. I mean, it's good, but it's bad. It's called I Care a Lot. Has anyone ever seen that? Well, don't scare yourself if you want, It's about a professional guardian, and she basically just, steals everybody's money. And if you've ever heard of Britney Spears, I mean, you also know what guardianship looks like. So anyway, guardianship is basically, if let's say, sir, you have lost capacity, and if that's your wife, she wasn't around, and I've now petitioned for guardianship over you, that means I'm suing you to take all of your rights as a human being away. And now I make all of your decisions for you. So that doesn't sound very good, does it? So power of attorney is one way to avoid that as much as humanly possible, and that, really stress, it's the most important document that you'll sign. Now, the other issue that you'll maybe see or hear about with power of attorney, I have another client who called and said, it's the daughter, it's always the daughter that calls, and says, Mom has signed a power of attorney for my brother, and he's stolen $35,000 is gone, and he's gone. I said, okay. So he had convinced Mom to go, sign this document. She said she didn't know what she was signing. A lot of times I think, even though people do know what they're signing, they don't want to upset their son or their daughter or whatever. I mean, you're in kind of a weird position with that. So I like to be really involved with all the family members if possible, because you really get a good idea of the dynamic. And it's a team effort, aging, it should be a joyous, wonderful, privileged thing that we all get to do. It shouldn't be, feeling like a victim. It shouldn't be feeling afraid of the future, which, I think we all are a little bit with AI. I mean, But anyway, so the son has stolen the money. He's gone. He convinced her to sign this document. What do we do? Oh my God. The first thing that you do, is call the local sheriff's office and report it. The second thing that you do is revoke it. You can revoke a power of attorney. It's not set in stone forever. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't realize that it's a revocable document. And if you have a power of attorney that's not revocable, get rid of it. You need something that is a revocable with a certain method of how to revoke it, so you can revoke it anytime you need to, have it recorded, do whatever you need to do, contact an elder law attorney or a estate planner, but mostly I recommend elder law attorneys for a reason, because they're just deal with these specific issues a little bit more. So just remember that there's always a method, there's a legal remedy for you. It's not just because you have given your sister here power of attorney doesn't mean she can take all your money. It's not her property. She can, you do have a legal remedy for that, and you can revoke it. So, definitely, remember that. So that was the first thing that, that we did from my point of view. And, the other part of incapacity planning is obviously the healthcare stuff. And, not so much on the elder fraud, but you just want to make sure that you have someone in place that can help you out with your healthcare decisions if you're incapacitated, because you may not agree with you want your voice to be heard, you want to be seen, you want to make your decisions while you're able to make them. And if there's one thing that I'll leave you with today, it's please do it before you need it. Please go ahead and do it before you need it. If it's too late, it's too late, and then we're going down the guardianship route, and you really don't want to do that if you don't have to. So please do it before you need it. Make sure you use an elder law attorney if you're looking at those specific issues, and let me know if you have any questions. And I'm going to turn it over to our lovely sheriff's office. I'm not sure who's coming next. But thank you guys. And let me know if you have any questions.
Emily, thank you. And first of all, thank you for Hicks Law for actually hosting this. And I will tell you this, a couple things we're going to talk about today is First of all, you see on the screen, of course, the word fraud, right? And maybe this is kind of catered toward elder fraud. I will tell you this, and my staff will tell you this too, that fraud does not discriminate. We're seeing it at the youngest ages, the oldest ages, because the people that are actually victimizing us, you, them, don't discriminate. They could care less of who they're victimizing, what dire straits you're in, what your medical condition is, what your living conditions are, where you have your bank account. If they can collect off of you, why not try it? So the things my staff are going to talk about today, and I will tell you this, as your sheriff in St. Johns County, it's a privilege and an honor to serve you. However, I surround myself with people that are better than stronger than me, that actually know what they're doing. I'm just simply a face that gets the chance to be in this position as a privilege, and you put me here 2 times in a row now. But if I didn't have the amazing staff with the passion to work these cases and actually going after the bad guys and girls that could be countries away, then we can't fight crime. So you got to find the right people that actually have the right passion, and you give them the ability and the tools to do their job. That's key to success too as well. And we can't do that unless the community supports us. And you, men and women, support the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and the techniques and tactics we use to keep crime low in St. Johns County. So let's get this out of the way. My deputy sheriffs, our deputy sheriffs don't knock on your door and say, are you a Republican or Democrat? We don't do that, by the way. Unfortunately, it's a partisan race, but I think once that's over with, you got to move that aside and go forward with, we provide a service to St. Johns County residents, regardless of race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, or age. It's just the way it is. It's a fact of the matter. So now that we're beyond that part, is first of all, never be embarrassed to call the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and say, I think I might have been a victim of a crime. Because most of the time, unreported crimes are probably the higher end of the spectrum, because you don't want to be embarrassed that you were actually vulnerable, not because of your age, just straight vulnerable, and gave into something you thought was so real. Here's a quick example I want to start off with before I introduce my staff. A couple days ago, 61 out of 67 sheriffs were meeting down in Orlando. We meet twice a year, and the governor was speaking, the attorney general was speaking, a bunch of politicians that are elected to offices across the United States and the state of Florida were speaking. And then during that, I was heading home, coming back to St. Augustine, and I received 5 phone calls. 5 phone calls on my personal cell phone. And they were like, Sheriff, one's name is Danny, who owns Island Preparatory Schools in St. Johns County. I would say she's just a tad bit younger than me, her and her husband. And she said, Sheriff, I'm actually heading to the courthouse. This guy said I got to pay $15,000 today, or my husband and I are going to jail for missing jury duty. I had to grasp that for a minute. She's a very successful business owner, and she was scared to death that she received this phone call. And by the way, the person at the sheriff's office that called her was Sergeant T.J. Williams. He works for me in the office of the sheriff. But the sad thing is that you can Google my name today and find out my address, my wife's maiden name, my social. I can try as hard as I want to protect that stuff. Unfortunately, because of all the things we do in life, credit card applications, applications for home loans, applications because we want to go ahead and receive benefits from the VA. I don't know, we can go on and on and on. So there's information, accessible information out there to every one of us right now. We're all vulnerable. So with that being said, if you look hard enough and do a little bit of homework, then you can find a person that's going to answer that phone. So anyways, she answered the phone, and she said, I know the sheriff very well. Well, so do I work for him. I mean, that's the answers they're going to have. She's like, Sheriff, he was so believable, and she was going to meet him at the clerk of the court's office, our county clerk's office, to pay off the fine to keep her and her husband out of jail, court, for missing jury duty. First of all, you don't get fined for missing jury duty. You usually get a summons from the judge saying, come in front of my bench and explain why you missed jury duty. But our system's not real harsh like that in St. Johns County. So again, there's some red flags in there, but again, she's vulnerable because you said the word jail, and you said the word come pay the fine, which you can afford to do, and you're out of trouble. So there's some things that just sounded right. Well, she said, let me talk to your supervisor. He puts another person on the phone. Hey, I'm Lieutenant so-and-so with the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. We have 1,100 members in the agency. But they know our names. If you do a public records request today, you can get every one of my agency members' names. That's what the public records law says. Every one of their names. So it's easy to do. And also, you can make up a name on a 1,000-person agency, and they're going to say, oh, okay, Sergeant Williams sounds legit. I mean, everybody has one of those. Anyway, so I said, hey, listen, stay on the phone with me and take another call when they call you back. And the guy said, do not hang up on the phone. She's like, don't hang up. So she hung up on them because she got nervous. Tried to call him back, of course, and that number is spooked, which my staff will talk about today. I had 5 of those calls in the same day with people just like you that just believed in what was being said on there. One even said, I'm going to call Sheriff Hardwick. That's fine. He's actually in the office today. I mean, I was in Orlando. But again, it's just a marketable tool as much as they can tell you. By the way, if they call 100 victims today, think about this. 100 victims and 10 of you bite on it. That's $10,000 a day. That's not bad money to be a criminal, right? Think about it. And my staff will talk about you. So again, these scams do not discriminate. But today, you showed up because we educate you, and then what do? You go back and educate other people. And that just spreads the word again and again and again. And my staff is going to talk about some horrific cases today. However, I happen to have 2 detectives in financial crimes that got a heart for this, and they don't want to see their loved ones in the same spot or their significant others in the same spot some of our victims are in. So if I didn't have this amazing staff, so just real quick, I hate to make you turn around a little bit, but instead of asking them to come up here because they're going to be so excited I'm introducing them. Detective Bobby Fultz, he's not as old as he looks. We're about the same age. But anyways, he's got a long history with the United States Secret Service. He will not talk about himself because he's a humble person. But he's had a long white-collar crimes, financial crimes with the United States Secret Service. I don't want to say beautiful daughter because she's my deputy sheriff, but his daughter works for my agency, and he got a hold of me and said, hey, Sheriff, I don't think I'm done yet. I think I have more gas in the tank. And I said, well, I got bad news for you, my friend. I said, you're going to have to be a deputy sheriff on the road, working shift work, and then eventually you'll make it to financial crimes. That's how we do fair business in the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. The good old boy days are over. You can't do it. He said, I think I can do that. Well, I met with him one night. He was actually down here right in front of the gate gas station in the middle of the median, and we had just worked a call, and I actually met with him and a couple other deputies. I can't remember what the call was. But anyway, so I met with him, and I said, how's it going? I'm hanging in there, Sheriff, but night shift is rough. Yeah. And I'm not 20 anymore. I said, I tried to tell you that, but he came on board here. But he stayed in the position because we really wanted him in a position where he could give back. And that's help people like you and educate people just like you. So we're going to talk about him in a minute. On a side note, his daughter, Sydney Fultz, is our first full-time boat commander in our Marine unit, and she is a little rock star, and I'm so proud of her, but it starts in the home. I think you all know that. So you'll meet Detective Fultz. He speaks in a minute. To his right, my left, would be our region commander, which is Commander Trey Enfield. So you can raise your hand there, big guy. He's a phenomenal man. So just real quick, our north region is kind of, if you know where Palencia is at, or we're Golf Village, just kind of draw an imaginary line there. Everything north, from the ocean to the St. Johns River to the Duval County line, that belongs to him. And I have 3 of those. I have one central, one north, and one south. He's my north. So you get to meet him too as well. Behind him is Bobby Fultz, Detective Fultz's counterpart. Again, and we're always going to look ahead of how do we continue this momentum of fraud investigations and prosecution, and then how do we continue prevention, right? And we have to do that with bringing the youth in as someone that buys into the product of it takes time. And they're going to tell you about how time-consuming these are, but the ending result is putting the bad guy or girl in jail and hopefully not victimizing somebody else. So David Elliott in the back there, raise your hand, young man, so humble too as well. He kind of runs the fraud investigations for the southern part of St. Johns County. Bobby Fultz is kind of in the northern part of St. Johns County, but they're the same unit. They work hand in hand all the time, and just has another gift from God. And he'll kind of tell you about the cryptocurrency, the rat's tail chase on cryptocurrency, about that too as well. So coming on way over here is one of my commanders, is George Harrigan. George Harrigan works for the Office of the Sheriff. He's my Chief of Staff. So he works directly for me. A lot of crime prevention, that's why he's here. His unit kind of handles that. Crime prevention, our women's self-defense classes, our chaplain corps, our honor guard. I do everything like nobody else wants. Our police athletic league, everything kind of passionate to me, I'll be honest with you. So he works directly for me. And again, he's a commander or a 1-star in my agency, same rank, of course, as our commander up here. Scott Arrington is going to come in a minute and really describe what they do for us, for me. That's our Seniors versus Crime. That was an initiative by, if you remember, at the time, Attorney General of the state of Florida was Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi had the initiative right after she was working the pill mills, and she started this concept called Seniors versus Crime. But it actually goes back under Attorney General McCollum, Bobby McCollum, when he was in charge up there. So it's a history there. We have it here at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. He's our lead detective per se, our Senior versus Crime. He'll tell you about him and his staff in a minute, how we're kind of fighting crime and helping these detectives work these crimes with people like you. And sometimes it's civil, and sometimes it's criminal. And we want to make sure we have that one-stop shop where we can give you some guidance on where to go and get you some help. So real quick, just before I kind of turn over to my staff, is just not to insult your intelligence, let's talk about the elderly population in St. Johns County. So right now, we're sitting on around 365,000 people in St. Johns County. Our county has grown by 43% in 10 years. But I'm going to use the number from last year's census, which is 320,000 people in St. Johns County. Out of that 320,000 people in St. Johns County, 92,000 of those are over the age of 60 and over. Here's the national average, by the way. So St. Johns County, over the age of 60, is sitting at about 14%. The national average, 12%. Here's where it kind of gets a little bit more, eye-opening. Over 70% of our population, over 70, age of 70, is 14%. 12%. The national average is 8%. 80 and over, 3.9%. 80 and over nationally, 3.9%. So we're riding higher at this. Pendulum has swung back in St. Johns County because for a while there we were getting a lot of families when it was affordable. I hate to say that, it was a little more affordable here, right? Let's say 7 years ago, 6 years ago. And we were seeing a lot of small new families moving here to start over, because apparently hurricanes aren't as bad as all the snowstorms. I don't know what that means. But anyways, they want to come down here, of course, because you get that year-round, basically, playing of children, free oceans for the most part. But what we see now is that Pendulum has gone back because of the economy down here is a little bit not affordable for new families. Let's just be honest. So now what we're seeing is that Pendulum with retirees coming back over here and buying property and living in St. Johns County. Here's the fact of the matter, by the way. You're going to hear from my detectives today some horrific stories. But we're not going to scare you with that because we don't have a lot of crime in St. Johns County. If it wasn't for these stupid things right here, we would probably have a serious reduction in crime in St. Johns County. And I'm talking about the youth and the old. The problem is it's too easily accessible for everything you can think of, by the way, including your information, which we're going to talk about. So again, with this technology comes sacrifices and crimes. So, but we're seeing that again at the lowest level. By the way, that's my new granddaughter. I've never had a screensaver in my life, but this little girl has taken my little heart, for God's sake. So I am in love for the second time in my life. And her name is Elliott Grace, and she's my new screensaver, which I've never had before, so I've switched that. Anyway, so when we talk about this stuff today, please pay attention. Ask those questions, by the way, and do not be embarrassed. I will give you my personal cell phone number. If you have a 1-star in my agency or above, you do not carry an agency phone. You pay for your own cell phone because I think it's ridiculous that we carry around 2 cell phones. So I've had this cell phone when I served in the military. I had this cell phone as a high school football coach for 28 years, and now it's your sheriff's cell phone, and it'll be your cell phone here in a minute. Here's the only caveat to that. Don't call me and say 911. You just wasted a phone call because I got to get all information, and now I got to try to relay what you just told me to get our services to you. If it's an emergency and you're not sure, call 911. That's what we're there for. It's what you pay for, is our services. So here's my personal cell phone number. And by the way, I always get 1 or 2 phone calls just to check. It's like, are you sure this is your phone number? Yes. Yes. We'll verify in a minute. Anyways, so it's area code 904. My staff cringes, by the way, trying to give this out, but I give it out. I'm telling you, literally thousands of people have my cell phone, and they don't use it. 904, well, not everybody. 904 626 0655. Here it goes again. 904 626 0655. Also write this down too as well. Because as we talked about a minute ago, if you email me, I answer all my own phone calls, I answer all my own emails. You may get a response tonight at 1 o'clock, I'll get caught up today sometime. So it's R. Hardwick, it's my first initial, and my last name. So R, Hardwick, and it's at the initials for St. John's Sheriff's Office. So it's at, sorry.
No, at the number 4?
Oh, no, sorry, no, I talked too fast. No, at the initials for St. John's County Sheriff's Office, at SJ, SJS, I guess we skipped the county, couldn't afford the C in there. So it's sjso.org. R. Hardwick at sjso.org. Must have been another 15 cents for the county. We said, no, we can't get it, can't afford to. Okay, so with that being said, again, if I didn't have before I get Detective Fultz up here, I want to give Scott just a couple minutes to say, who are Seniors versus Crime? What are their mission? His amazing staff that work behind the scenes for a lot of money. They charge us a lot of money. They volunteer. But we give you beautiful polo shirts, right? Jackets, I think. No, yes, sir. Jackets? Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'll probably come back up after and kind of close out with my staff, but truly an honor that we get a chance, and thank you for hosting this today. And again, this is a great group of people, because most of the people just don't want to take the time to just go listen and absorb and ask questions. So without further ado, Scott, Senior versus Crime.
very humbled to be the first one to come up and speak in this room full of greatness, but thank you all for coming today. My name is Scott Arrington. I run the office here in St. Johns County for Seniors versus Crime. Seniors versus Crime is a special project of the Florida Attorney General's office. We serve here in St. Johns County thanks to Sheriff Hardwick and his foresight in stopping crime by helping you not become a victim. Solving crimes is hard. If we can stop you from becoming a victim, then we don't have to solve the crime. We have two objectives. The first is to educate our citizens about the ever evolving scams that we see every day. If you haven't been a victim of a scam yet today, you will be. We get those messages on our phones all the time. We get the emails all the time. It's very, very challenging. We are a group of volunteers. We meet weekly at the, thanks to Sheriff Hardwick, at the S-Rock station out on US 1, where the Sheriff's Office has given us a headquarters to work out of. We have 9 volunteers. 3 of them are in the back here. From my left to right is Hal Hitch, Kathleen Andrews, and Janira Dickerson. We have 9 volunteers altogether that work solving cases or trying to solve cases and educating people. We do presentations all over the county. If you're involved in an organization, you'd like a presentation, our phone number is 904-209-1432. I'd like to just give you a couple of statistics for Seniors versus Crime. Statewide, since the inception of the program, they have recovered over $16 million in real money and $12 million in realized gain. In other words, getting the services back that you paid for that you didn't get. And that's a lot of money for volunteers. Here locally, since January, we have worked 16 fraud cases and been able to recover $36,000 in real money and realized gain for our citizens here in St. Johns County, thanks to Sheriff Hardwick and these folks in the back that are our support and our staff. We have a table in the back there with some information. I'm going to echo what Sheriff Hardwick said. Please don't be embarrassed to come and tell us that something happened. We have all been the victims of a scam. So we would very much like to hear from you. If we can help you in any way, give us a call. Thank you, Sheriff, for the opportunity to speak.
Bobby Fultz. He's got to pick up his walk a little faster. That's what happens.
That's right. As we get older, I admit it. I will admit that. So again, my name's Bobby Fultz. I'm one of the fraud detectives here in the county. We have 3 of us now. We just got a new one, and he's doing some training and a lot of good work. Hopefully, learning a lot about crypto, because that's one of the biggest things coming up. A couple of things, though, as everybody was talking. I want to know just one thing. Raise a hand here. How many of y'all have a shredder at your house for getting rid of mail? This is awesome. Usually, maybe half. I get half, but that's excellent. You should have some. Believe it or not, people still dumpster dive. That old saying about dumpster dive, it's still there. People will, look through your trash and find your mail and get your information that way. That's the old school way, but they'll do it. Shred it if you don't need it. Okay, get rid of it that way. Go through a burn bag or shredder, or whatever you got to do to get rid of it. Credit cards, same thing. Cut them up, get rid of them that way. How many here have frozen their credit? Raise your hands. Okay, good. That's something. Half of you have. Okay, good. If you haven't, I say this. How many people here are looking to buy a new car? How many people are here looking to get a new house? Credit card? Exactly. You're established. You don't need those things. So why not freeze your credit? You don't want somebody else using your good credit that you earned over the years to buy a new car, get a loan, buy a house, or whatever, right? You don't want them using your information, so freeze it. You don't need to have it open. And if you do decide you need it open, it really takes 10 minutes or so to get it open. Down the road here on this screen, I'll have information, and also I got brochures back there from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. All 3 of them, the websites and phone numbers are in the brochures, and it'll be on my screen. So with those, you can always get on those. They'll walk you through it, how to freeze your credit, how to unlock your credit when you need to. It's very simple. It just takes a few minutes to do. But it's a lot more of a headache if you don't. You find out later when you do need it, that somebody's already abused it and destroyed it, right? And it's gonna take a long time and a lot of headaches to clean up. So make sure you do that. Oh yeah, 100%. So, and thank you. And if you have something to tell me, chime in, because again, I guess there's so much out here. Whether I get it all out today, I don't know. But protect your children, your grandchildren, whatever. Get their credit taken care of too. Talk to the credit bureaus; they'll walk you through what you need to do. Also, get with the Social Security Administration about getting your stuff protected that way, also. Okay. All right. How many people here have cell phones? Right. We all live with them. Take those cell phones, get with your provider, and get a second authentication, a second type of security put on there. You have to go through the provider to do it. But if you don't, there's a thing called SIM card hijacking, where they will port over your number. If they get enough information on you, which, believe it or not, all our stuff's out there. My stuff's out there. It is. It is what it is. Through several different agencies have, exposed my name, date of birth, social security. It's out there. But they will take your information and enough of it along with your phone number. And if you have AT&T, they might port it over to T-Mobile or to Verizon or somewhere. And they get a hold of your number. And they also get a hold of your SIM card information, which they can do. All right? If it's not protected, they will take over your phone. Then your phone becomes just a brick. It's useless to you, but all your information that was on your phone is on that SIM card is going to be on their phone. And then they can open up your accounts. Facial recognition is going to work with them because their phone's going to recognize their face, right, as yours. So they will just create havoc on your accounts. So if all your information is on there for financial institutions and things of that nature, which mine are on my phone, my apps, they're going to go in there and they're going to move your money around, and it's going to be a long headache. You'll eventually probably get all of it back, because once we prove that it was not your fault, you'll get your money back. But it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be a big headache and take time. Okay? So just make sure you do this.
Freezing the credit cards and other things, does that keep them from stealing or identity theft on your title to your home?
Yeah, well, that's something else we're going to talk about also. The other thing, it doesn't prevent them from stealing your titles. That's through the clerk of the court's office, and it's through basically we're as good as our weakest link in life as a group, as a society. We're as good as our weakest link, okay? Or as a person, you're as good as your weakest moment. All right? If you get that phone call or that text message, that says, "Hey, you had this." This is the fraud department, the financial institution, and they know it's your Bank of America account or whatever. Did you spend this money there? You need to call us ASAP. And of course, if you're busy with something, like you got a wedding or a funeral plan, or you're just busy in life, you're going to want to hurry and get it taken care of. You're going to call that number if you're not thinking about it. You're going to call the number they tell you to call, which is not the one you want. Obviously, call the number you know. So if you're ever having anything going on in life, period, slow down. Don't panic. Call the number that you know to call. If the bank tells you to call them, or if they call you. I was fraud. When I retired from the Secret Service, I went over to ViStar as fraud manager for about 4 years before coming back here. It was eye-opening being there, seeing all the things that are out there with all the financial institutions. I would have to call people sometime about different fraud issues. Verify who I am. It didn't hurt my feelings. If the sheriff's office calls you, verify who we are. Get the name, say I'll call the main number, and what's your extension? People call me all the time like that. I'm fine with it. Why? Let them verify who I am, because you don't know who's calling you. He talked about this. The sheriff's talking about the spoof numbers. Everybody here familiar with spoofing? Who's not? Who doesn't know anything about spoofing? Okay. Well, spoofing is basically there's an app you can obtain, and what you can do with that when you pay a certain amount of money, I can take the numbers that I know, like it's the Bank of America number, and I know you have a Bank of America account. I can create my phone, call you as their number, show up as theirs. I can call you with your number. Well, that's pretty creepy, right? But it can happen. And that's what spoofing is. They're using that number it masks the real number. But if you hang up and you call the real number, that Bank of America number that you know back, you're going to get the real company. You're not going to get the bad guy. So that's a big red flag, is where the bad guys are never going to want you to hang up. They're always going to want you to stay on the line with them while they work the problem out. That's a huge red flag. So, in all these different things, there's always these little red flags that are out there, but you got to pay attention to them. All right? So, like I said, I can go hours talking about all this, but let's see, so let's start off with the confidence, fraud, and romance scams. Let's talk about that a little bit, right? So romance scams is one of my biggest things that's going on here. What that has to do with it? Loneliness of the heart overrides the mind thought process every time. Your heart, a lot of times, will dictate what common sense should. Because you're lonely, you fall in love with somebody you've never met. I've had it happen. It happens all the time. I don't want people to ever feel I don't want people to feel embarrassed about anything. It happens to people smarter than me every day. All these different scams. If a scam or something happens, don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. Don't be upset. Report it and share that information with your family and with your friends. Why is that important? Because you don't want that to happen to them, and you need some help, obviously, to get this straightened out. So I don't want you to feel victimized again by hiding it and not sharing it. Now, I will say this, as Emily talked about earlier, sharing it with your family is important. Start talking to your family early on and discussing your whole financial life and how you want the things handled as you get older. What's one of the first things as we get older we learn? We lose the privilege to do it. Driving. We lose that capability, and it happens to all of us, where we can't drive or shouldn't drive, and we lose the license. Now we're dependent on somebody to take us somewhere. Well, the same thing happens possibly with finances. You need to have that shared with your family. Hey, listen, down the road, this is going to be a point in time. I'm going to need you to help me out a little bit with my bills or help me out monitoring my accounts. I want to be able to control my money. I want to be able to spend it the way I want to, but monitor in case something happens, like my computer gets hacked or whatever. I don't know, but just I want you to be there to help me. And if you kind of discuss this up in front with somebody that you love and trust, hopefully they won't be at that point where people think they are. When something happens to you, what are people, why they don't share it? They don't share it with their family members because what happens? Once they tell them, hey, I just lost $30,000 on this scam. What do they think? Sometimes, unfortunately, if you haven't talked to your kids, the young family will freak out. Oh my God, you can't handle your finances anymore. We're going to have to take over everything. And that's what you're scared of. You don't want that to happen because now you've lost the privilege to drive. Now you can't even spend your money the way you want to. It's yours, right? You earned it. So you have to be open in front about this stuff and talk about it early before it happens, okay? But romance scams, people that are lonely, they will fall in love with somebody because the bad guy are excellent listeners. You can be online, and most of the time, like they talking about Facebook. I hate Facebook. I have one social media account myself, and I've only had it since getting out of the Secret Service, and that's Instagram, only to follow my family, nephews, and nieces, and all that. Other than that, I could care less. But people that are on it because, that's their avenue to life in general. Those things get hacked. And people, the accounts get hacked, they'll take that information and reach out for their friends. And next thing you know, you think you're talking to your friend, and then they're going to, and once they get in with you about something, then they're going to introduce you to somebody else they know, right? And possibly somebody that they're going to find out your weaknesses because they're going to listen to you. They want you to talk about your life. And if you're lonely, you want to talk about that. You want somebody to listen to you. They'll find out everything about you. Then they'll devise some kind of scam, whether it be for somebody to fall in love with, or maybe you're into donating to orphanages or animal shelters or something of that nature. They're going to find that weakness and pull at your heartstrings. And then eventually, you're going to get to that point where they're going to ask for money. For whatever reason it is, whether you're in love with a general across doing a secret mission overseas, and he can't, the government's not going to help him get back home, and he needs a ticket to fly home or money for it. Believe me when I tell you this, anybody that's overseas from the government's going to get them home. Okay? Okay, so but you just got to think. You got to take your time and think and use these things. Discuss these things with your friends, family, somebody you trust. And if you have any questions or any doubt or that little hair on the back of your neck standing up about anything, call us. Ask us questions. We'll help you. We'll figure it out together. I'm here. You got a question? Ask. If I'm not sure, I'll try and find out. Most of the time on these kind of things, unfortunately, a lot of times when people tell me the stories, I can finish the story for them. I've heard that many. It's unfortunate, but it's factual. Like I said, it happens to everybody. Anybody, people smarter than me all day long are getting scammed. And it's just, it's your weakest moment in life is when these things happen. So you just don't know. So you gotta be aware. You gotta keep your head on a swivel, unfortunately, nowadays. All right, there's a statistic here. They're a little small to read on the screen, so I'll just kind of fly by them. But it's stuff the Secret Service shares too, and those are things that I'm able to implement into the talks. Lottery, sweepstakes, inheritance scams. Everybody heard of these or seen any of these? They come in your emails. They come in text message form. Sometimes they come in the mail, right? Snail mail still sends messages, right? Over the phone, they'll call you. How many people get phone calls all the time from these things, right? My work desk number for the sheriff's office. I'm getting 10 to 15 calls a day, and there's nothing I can do about it right now. I'm still trying to figure this out. I am. They're calling with Medicaid and Medicare. Hey, and the auto call comes in, how old are you? And sometimes I'll tell them I'm 82, oh, you don't apply, and they hang up. Sometimes I'll mess with them. Sometimes I'll call and just yell at them. When sometimes I don't answer at all. But it's there. So it happens to everybody, okay? The text messages you get. How many get the messages about the sun pass or whatever right? How many get? Exactly. We all get them. During Christmas time a lot, this is really vulnerable. A USPS text message comes in, your package is here. And we're always, I'm always waiting for packages during that time of the year. Or Amazon, they'll just use Amazon. Well, if you're waiting for a package and it happens to be that weak moment that you're, oh my gosh, I'm waiting on this I'm excited, let me call them or text them. Don't do it. All right, Amazon's going to reach out for you that way. If you have a number set and an account set, they're going to send a message with that account information, usually through an email, sometimes a text. But you call the number that you know to verify things. Don't reach out on anything on that message that it tells you to reach out. You reach out to a number that you know. For a bank, if it's a fraud alert or something, if you're not sure, call the number on the back of your card. Call the number, look it up from Google, look it up, get the number, go to your bank in person, your financial institution in person, and verify these things. Because most of the time it's a scam. And at that point, they'll tell you, hey, there's nothing wrong with your account. Okay? If they don't want you to hang up the phone, that's another big red flag. Hang up the phone.
Don't answer the phone.
You don't answer the phone, that's fine. Let it go to voicemail.
They will not ever answer the phone.
Yeah.
If they want you, they're going to leave a message. If they don't,
100%. Or they'll be like me and call you like 4 times back to back until you answer. That's just me. I hate leaving voicemails. But the bad guys won't call you back to back like that. So, but I will. So, but definitely, if they want to leave a message, then you can call them back or call a number that you know to verify anything that they have to say. So, these things here, when they claim the prizes, they reach out for the people that want to hit it big time. When it comes to inheritance scams or these lottery scams, and a lot of things today we'll talk about the crypto. People get to those points where you're comfortable in life. You have money, you're comfortable. Someone tells you get that little bit of greed going. You want to, what that sounds. If it's too good to be true, it is, right? I love that because it's so factual. If it's too good to be true, it is. So when you get that little thing going, you know what? I think I could make some of this. This is a really good deal to make this money. 20% or 200%, return in 2 weeks. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. Okay. What happens is you're going to give your money away and you're never getting it back. Because a lot of people, they get on these things through online, through different websites. They're not verifying things. There's enough scammers out there in person when when you're meeting them at the banks and the places. They're scary enough for investments, much less giving all your money to somebody online that you've never met before. You don't know where they are or who they are. So yeah, once that money's gone, a lot of times, and I tell people when they're talking to me, when I get the reports, I'm going to be factual. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I say hope for the best and expect the worst. If I can get your money back in a timely fashion, I will. But I can tell you, more money goes out than comes back. Okay? I have been successful, but it happens when it's like within 24, 48 hours, but sometimes longer. It just depends, But I got to get lucky too. But but I will tell you, more goes out than comes back. All right? So it's a matter of protecting what you have. Government impersonations. We talk about the IRS, the sheriff's office calling. I have one today. I'm working right now. A business. They called 2 of their business. They have 2 businesses in the county. 2 of the businesses were called at separate times, where they provided information saying they were with the sheriff's office. And I don't know what the whole details because I haven't got a copy of the report yet. I did talk quickly to the victim, but that they actually talked them into whatever the threat was, to take the money out of the till, go to the CVS, purchase gift cards, and give me the information off the back. Now I can tell you this, that money's gone. Now I will try to track it, and I'll contact my people that I know that do these for the gift card companies, but that money's gone within minutes. Once they give it away, they catch those things out quick. Yes, ma'am.
On all these scams, is there anywhere that you can read what's happening
In your neighborhood?
like in St. John's
So like the statistical thing about what's going on in your area?
Yeah, we can talk about crime stats in a minute. It's a database, we'll talk about it in a minute, but just remind me. But there's a federal database that we report to, and it hones it in right to your, almost your backyard. But yes, ma'am.
So, anyway, with that, like I said, government impersonation, that's important. You can verify things. If you think it's the sheriff's office, that can say, let me hang it up and call you right back. What's your name? I'll call you right back. And of course, if it's a bad guy, they don't want you to hang up, so that's clear. Yeah. Right. Yes, do not click anything that's text to you. Don't do it. The scammers generally depend on, prepaid cards that we talked about, wire transfers or cash, be mailed or sent out. And technically, it's illegal to mail cash, so even birthday cards, I guess. But that's why I've been told by the postal inspectors. But hey, either way, you mail it, it's gone. Once it's not coming back. A lot of these scams, when you're sending your money out, if you're going to get talked into wiring money out somewhere or something, a lot of times that money's going to another victim that's involved in another scam. They might layer this 3 or 4 times before it eventually disappears into the cryptocurrency world or to the abyss that's just being sent overseas in gold or whatever they do with it. So the investment frauds, right? They're talking about different schemes. If this, like I said, if it's too good to be true, it is. This is what happens with all these different investments. The scammers typically talk to victims over the phone or by email and engage in high pressure tactics, trying to sell you a great idea. Best thing since sliced bread, as they say. Pyramid schemes, that's an old one that's been around. But a lot of these scams that are here go in full circle. So they might be a hot topic one day, and then you might disappear for a while. But believe me, they always come back. Somebody will regenerate them somehow, reinvent it, change it a little bit where they think it's going to get by, and it does, unfortunately. But these things are out there. They've been out there. Ponzi schemes, pump and dumps, all that's been there for years. It's still there. It's not as prevalent, I guess, but they're still out there. Charity scams, as we talked about before too. All right. Again, they're trying to get on your social media. They're trying to get those heartstrings, pulling your heartstrings about, hey, pay money for this, help this poor child out, or help this animal, or GoFundMe accounts. You better be, if you're, hey, there's people out there that really need them, but you better be aware of what you're giving your money to. Okay? There's some legit charities out there. There's some legit people that need help that are on GoFundMe, but verify things before you just send money to somebody just because it's pulling on your heartstrings. All right? Because you might be giving somebody that doesn't deserve it. And that, I hate. Credit card fraud. Okay, here's some fun stuff. How many people here have been a victim of credit card fraud? Right? And which way? Which way have you been a victim of?
Oh, I got noticed my bank, I called my bank.
Okay.
Put on the minutes and somebody had used my credit card. And I called the credit card company and they shut it right down.
How was it used? Do you know where the purchase was or how it was done?
It was someplace I didn't
Okay, but what was purchased? Do you know? Okay.
remember.
So a lot of times I can tell a lot of times just basically if it's used at a gas station or something, then I know where it was probably skimmed at a gas station somewhere else. Where they'll skim them there, they'll take them and sell them on the black market, or they'll re-encode them and they'll use it to purchase fuel that they'll use to sell on the black market.
Books at Amazon.
Okay,
that I did
so those are things that are being used. That's somebody that bought it online, they bought it through the dark web, and they use it to purchase whatever they felt like they wanted or needed. If it was books, and it happens. I mean, I've had my credit cards, I've had several, skimmed and used in different places. I had one because it was broken. I used to have I have YouTube TV now, but I used to have PlayStation channels or whatever. So when they disbanded and just went back to gaming, they still have my credit card information, right? Well, guess what? A couple of years later, all of a sudden, I'm getting purchases for games. I'm like, what? I mean, they hadn't stopped, but they have to backtrack, and of course, I tracked it down. It was their system got hacked. So could I speak to anybody, a human being, because they're in California? No. That's a luck. So I couldn't even do it. And I was like, whatever. I got my money back. It was good. But that's when I talk about credit cards and debit cards, the difference. Don't use your PIN number if you can help it. I know if you go to ATM, you gotta use it to get cash out. That's okay, you understand it. But where you know, pay attention to what's down there, because the skimming devices can be on there. You gotta know. But at least if something does happen, you're gonna get notified and the bank's gonna get your money back. But the safest way is credit cards. So like I have one particular credit card I use for my gas. If I go anywhere, buy gas for my personal vehicle, I use that credit card. If something happens to that, I know where it happened. It got scammed at a gas pump. And I get it shut down and I get a new one. I have another one I use online with a small amount I keep on it. So if I make online purchases, something happens to that one, guess what? It happened either on my computer or through their system. So then I have to at least narrow it down to where it happened and what's going on and how to fix it. I have another one I use, for other things, but if you just use credit card for certain things and just narrow it down, you can keep track of it. Check your accounts, check your balances for your financial institutions, check your credit card. I can do it daily, I do it weekly minimum, but I would do it not once a month, because a lot of times if you haven't you can't keep up with what you really purchased, what you do. You know? So you gotta do these things, you gotta think about it. But you use the credit card, it's a lot safer, and your credit card is more protected. They're gonna shut it down, you're gonna get an investigation of it. At least it's not drained your cash out of your account that's paying your automatic payments, your house payments, your car payments, or whatever, taken out of there, because then you gotta worry about something balanced at this location, they didn't get paid, and now you got a late payment fee and all that, and there's just other headaches. You're gonna get taken care of probably, but you need to, be safe about it and you won't have all the headaches. Also, you gotta be prepared for the bank. Through different avenues, people will call, bad guys will call, pretend to be the bank, right? At the same time, they might be on the same phone or another phone, somebody else standing next to them or near them, talking to the bank. So while they're talking to you and convincing you that the fraud department, hey, we're going to just send you a one-time passcode to your phone. So you get that one-time passcode, and they say share it with them. As soon as you give it to them, guess what they're doing? They're giving it to their friend here that's talking to the bank that says, oh, here's the one-time passcode. Boom, now they're in your account. Now they're getting wire transfers done, but guess what? You shared that information. Sometimes the financial institution will not pay you back for any losses because of that, because that's information that you shared with the bad guy, that they gave to you to protect you. So I have victims out there that I've tried to fight and help by showing that it's not their fault. But they spent hours on the phone with the bad guys, thinking they were the fraud department, thinking they were the bank, and next thing you know, they're out $40,000. Now, to some people, $40,000 might be a lot, but to me, it's a lot, and to them, that was devastating. And the bank, to this day, is not giving them back. So it's a matter of what you share on the phone with people. You have to be aware. If there's something going on, I would just say, hey, listen, let me come in person and let's deal with this. I'm not going to spend 45 minutes on the phone with somebody if I don't know who I'm talking to. Okay, or 2 hours or whatever it is. Go in person, hang up the phone and go in person, say, hey, what's going on with my account? Most times it's going to be nothing because they were talking to the fraudsters. So you got to be aware of these things. Be very aware. Again, I don't want everybody to come out of here as a paranoid schizophrenic, but but you definitely want to be on top of things. So you monitor your credit, your credit card activities, set up alerts. You can set up alerts. I get a text message from I got a Citibank card. I live it from Costco. I love Costco. That's my favorite place to go. It's my Achilles heel. But as soon as I use that card for payment of anything, within seconds I get an alert on my phone. Boom, you spent this. Yes, I did. But if I ever say, no, I didn't, I'm going to lock that card down. I'm going to make a phone call back of the card to the company and get a new card, because that means it was scammed somewhere. So these things are good to have. These alerts, set them up for your email alerts, through your banking, and set up text message alerts for anything to do with your accounts. All the financial institutions have that access. If they don't, you need to go get a new financial institution. So they should at the end of the day, anytime. Phishing. So we're going to talk about what I call the E's. There's a lot of E's. Phishing, phishing, yes, there's all of them. So they're all about basically the same. They're just the new names, the words that are set up through the, I guess the FBI. I don't know which government agency made up the names, whatever. I just go with the flow. But this phishing is text messages. Phishing is the phone messages where they're calling. So as they were talking about earlier, you might get 100 calls they might make out, right? And if they get 10 people answering the phones and answering their questions, they got them on the hook. Then they're getting what they need. So that's what it is. That's all of them are the same thing. They send out mass text messages. They send out mass phone calls, or mass emails. All of this, all the above. You'll get these little alerts. You know, did you spend the $240 at the ATM? Well, of course not. So they'll use and tell you to contact them through the online or click on this. Don't click on the link. Call the number that you know. Call the bank, your institution. Spoofing, AI. We talked about all these things. Okay. So like I said, as we jump around, I have them in order, but we can go through a little faster on the screens. Quishing, QR codes. Who's familiar with QR codes? Yeah, I hate them. I hate them. But there are some that are a necessity. All right, they're out there, they're useful. But you got to be aware of which ones you're clicking on. Sometimes you go to a restaurant now and you go to, where's my menu? Oh, no, just click your phone on there. First of all, it's too small. I want my glasses bad enough. I want a menu for you, bigger letter. But you don't know if that's theirs or if that's an overlay. A lot of times they'll take these stickers, make them as an overlay, and things of that nature. So with that, just know what you're clicking on, because if you click on the wrong one, it's going to take over your phone, whatever, and you're going to lose everything that way too. They do those with packages now too, mailing packages, gifts to you, you don't know who it came from. Oh, open this and click on this this QR code and it'll tell you who sent it. Don't do it. Keep the package and wait for somebody to call you. If they never call you, you got a free gift. All right? So I want to scroll through this. Oh, this is one thing that's important before. I want David, he's over here, we'll talk about crypto here in a minute, but real quick, again, that's a QR code right there, but it's a good one, okay? This is the clerk of the courts. So this is through the clerk of the courts. This is talking about how to protect your property. If you own your property, go to their website, and you get on that website in that area, and they'll walk you through it, what you need to do to put your information in, and that way, if somebody ever files any information about your property or end up buying your property or selling it or whatever from behind you, they'll at least alert you right away so you can get on it faster. It's not going to stop them from doing it, but at least it'll alert you quicker so you're not waiting a year before you realize you don't own the property you're living in. Okay?
Does that happen a lot now?
Not a lot, but it happens enough, and just one time is enough for me. But I'm working a couple of cases, and it's a real headache for people. Luckily, it was property they owned and not their home, so it was just property. And they wouldn't pay their taxes and didn't realize it until a year later that the property was not owned by them anymore. Now they're getting it back, but it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of victims involved, not just them.
I would really recommend that we registered for that. And we just redid a deed for our house. And it got recorded on the land records, and a few days later, we got an email from the county saying, they just got a deed, was this for you? So it works and it's fast.
Yes, 100%. Real quick, I'm going to get out of this screen and get up, hopefully to the right one, for crypto, because I don't want to, David will talk a little bit. I get talking and I get carried away, so I apologize. See our calls for today?
What if you sold the property a long time?
It doesn't matter. I had people that owned it since the 80s, and their property was sold right from under. They went to pay it once a year, pay their taxes, and next thing you know, they're saying, well, you don't owe taxes, you don't own the property. I'm like, what are you talking about? So that doesn't matter. Yeah. This is David.
Thank you.
I'm on A1A driving here. I get a phone call from Amazon saying, want you aware that you just spent $1,400 on Apple computers, please click 1 to confirm. Amazon never phones you, ever, immediately hang up. But when I got here, I phoned Amazon, and they double checked my account. So what you said about Amazon, or to call the people.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Don't click anything.
100%.
Well, I'm sitting outside because I didn't want to do it.
I'm Detective Elliott. I do all the crypto stuff in our county. So I'll just give you kind of a rundown of the basics. I don't want to get into the weeds of it because we can talk for days on it. It gets really monotonous once you get to the weeds of it. But some of the stats that we have, last year we had approximately about 2 million in fraud just with crypto related. Just for the past 7 months, we're up to about 4.5 million in cryptocurrency fraud. That's where everything is going. Every single scam that folks talked about is going crypto related, just because they can move money quickest through cryptocurrency, and they can move it through different wallets, addresses quicker than they can through different bank accounts. So essentially, what is cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrency is different types of digital currency that can be confirmed through a ledger. So multiple people can come together on the blockchain and confirm that a transaction is accurate through cryptocurrency. I'm not going to get into the weeds of that portion of it because that gets really convoluted, but that's just the bare bones of that. What I want to kind of focus on with this presentation is more of the scams I'm seeing, how to prevent you guys from getting involved in it, and what they're doing. Some of the stuff to look out for. So what we're seeing, these are the main types of cryptocurrency that they are using. Main type of cryptocurrencies they're using. You have Tether, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Tron, Shiba Inu, and Litecoin. Bitcoin is what everybody knows about. That's the biggest one. That's 100,000 is what it's up to. I haven't checked recently. Ethereum is the second biggest one, and then Tether is your stable coin. That is your coin that stays with the market, doesn't fluctuate, doesn't go up and down, it stays with the US dollar. Dogecoin is the one that's big with Elon Musk. Tron is another one that's starting to gain some traction because that's what a lot of the scammers are using. And then Shiba Inu is another one that's getting a little bit of traction. So here's just some pictures of it. These aren't actual real coins.
Just point to the back of the computer sometime, that'll work. Or not.
Detective Elliott, just real quick, not to insult you, of course, but tell the crowd out here, like, how does one purchase Bitcoin?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to all
sorry.
that portion of it.
Disregard that question.
I can figure out why this.
The pictures were up there.
Just for the record, he works cryptocurrency for a living, but he's much better at his desk than he is PowerPoint.
It's not my computer.
It's working here, it's just not doing it there. Well, I'm seeing all the pictures.
I can afford one thing.
You need me to get somebody from the library?
It's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's doing it here, it's just not doing it there, so I don't know.
We're gonna bring in the
But he can tell you about it.
What you would see is you would see 5 or 6 coins that would be little AI generated. You see a little AI generated Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, Tethercoin, that kind of stuff. So, like Sheriff was saying, he was asking how you would buy and purchase Bitcoin. There's multiple ways you can do it. You would have to open up a cryptocurrency account, which would be similar to open up a Vanguard Charles Schwab account.
Volunteer, folks.
That's all we pay.
But his son's not.
So yeah, like I said, these are the coins that I put up there. They're not real coins at all. Everything's on the computer, so you don't have actually physical coins. Alright, so yeah, you can go and open up a Gemini account. A Coinbase account is one of the big ones. It's essentially like a Charles Schwab for holding your cryptocurrency, which is how you would buy it. You'd open up that account and you would deposit money from your Wells Fargo account, Bank of America account, whichever type of bank account you have. Transfer that money over to your Gemini or Coinbase account and then purchase a Bitcoin. And then what you should do if you're investing in cryptocurrency is you just hold it there. You don't send it to anybody, you don't move it anywhere, you just hold it just like a regular stock. People that are getting in trouble with it are sending it to other places. They're getting an address or being told to send it somewhere, or they're putting money into Bitcoin ATMs, start talking about it later, and that's the process of them getting scammed and where we're having issues. So how you would store your cryptocurrency, you have your wallet and addresses. So the best way to explain what a wallet and address is, think about your address as being like your checking account. And then your wallet is essentially like your whole bank account. So your wallet holds multiple different addresses inside, and your addresses can be to your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, your Tether, multiple different types of coins because they're all different blockchains. But like I said, I don't want to get on the weeds of that because it's really confusing and keep going down that rabbit hole. So like I was talking about earlier, the biggest exchanges that we see, Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, Binance is a huge cryptocurrency exchange. It's the biggest in the world. There's a Binance US. You cannot use Binance.com because the US is blocked from Binance.com. You would have to use Binance US. But that is where a lot of the scams and money is going. When I track it, it goes to Binance.com. They do cooperate with law enforcement, and we need to have some much more ready. My service procedure on the short. Yes, we do. So like Detective Fultz was talking about with the romance scams, we see a lot of that. What I'm seeing a ton of is they're reaching out to them by Facebook, Twitter, a number of other social media sites, and they're having them switch over to WhatsApp app or a single app, something that is encrypted where it's harder for us to subpoena and get information back. But they will go and reach out to them, talk to them, and explain to them the investment process of investing in cryptocurrency. Usually what they will do is they will coach them through the process of how to set up a Gemini account. So if somebody is totally unaware of how cryptocurrency works, they will go and explain to them, hey, open up a Coinbase account, Gemini account, here's what you have to do. If you have a Wells Fargo account, go and open up Coinbase, transfer your money from Wells Fargo to Coinbase, and here's how you do it. They'll walk through that whole process. They'll either do a screen sharing app, or they'll physically just tell them how to do it over the phone or with video messages or text messages. Once they walk them through that process, there is another avenue they will take as well to try to show them that they are making gains, because the majority of these romance scams switch over to an investment scam aspect of it. So they'll get them on the hook with the romance side, and then they'll show them that they are making money with investing in cryptocurrency. So they'll have them open up a Coinbase account, and then within the Coinbase account, they'll have them open up a separate Coinbase account and look up their spoofed website that they created. In that spoofed website, they link everything together to make it seem like they are making gains when they are sending these funds to the suspect. So when they send these funds to the suspect, they are really, what's happening is when they do it through their legitimate Coinbase account, they're sending it away or they have no access to it. But it's linked to what they're only seeing is on the fraudulent side. The fraudulent website is what they're seeing, and that's what they're seeing the gains. So that's why the victim is not taking out the money, they're seeing they're making their 1% and 2% gains a day, and they're realizing in about a month or two they make $100,000, but they want to cash out. So they go and talk on the spoofed website, they don't want to cash out. Okay, great, you have to pay your taxes for it. So when they go and pay the taxes for it, they either say, hey, it's $5,000, $10,000, or the scammer will just totally stop talking to them and the scam will stop there. Or the victim will continue to pay more money and not realize that they are just sending the money away. And then they'll continue to keep showing the gains, and they'll continue to keep doing that same avenue. This scam is known as pig butchery. And the way it is explained for the pig butchery is you're fattening up a pig, which one? Pig butchery, which is, if you're trying to go and fatten up the victim, make them believe they're making a ton of money, and then you're basically doing a rug pull. So this usually takes between 3 to 4 months, and then whenever they don't have any contact from suspect, or they realize after the third or fourth time they pay taxes and they're not getting their money back, they contact me. Well, 3 or 4 months, I'm kind of behind the 8 ball trying to track it 3 or 4 months behind. Now, I can track it just as fast as they move it, but if I'm 3 or 4 months behind, it makes it kind of difficult. So it's not a fault to the victim, but when they're involved in the scam, it's like if they knew beforehand that this scam was happening, then you may have protected. That's why we kind of do these talks. So that's kind of how the romance scam turns into these pig butchery scams that we see a lot of. So another way that they use these pig butchering scams is the Bitcoin ATM stuff. And that's probably one of the quickest and easiest ways for them to do it, because they don't have to walk them through the process of setting up a Gemini, Coinbase, all of the accounts. What they'll have them do is go to their ViStar account or their Wells Fargo account, have them take out $10,000, $15,000, and they can go to these ATMs that are usually in gas stations, CVS, Publix has them, and they will literally put in $10,000 to $15,000, and they will either text them a QR code, where they can take the QR code and physically just put up the picture to the Bitcoin ATM machine, and then it gives them the address they need to send it to. They put in their $10,000 to $15,000, it gets sent away to that address, and then suspect can move money however he wants to move it. That's one of the quickest ways they do it. What these ATMs were legitimately used for, and what they're supposed to be used for, is if I had a Coinbase account and I know what my address is, and I get paid $500 for a paycheck, I can take my $500, put it in there, send it to my crypto account. If that's what I was originally going to do, that's fine. But they also don't tell you the fine print that you're going to charge between 15 to 30% for each transaction. So, all of these times they're doing these transactions, if your victim sends $100,000, they're still, the Bitcoin company is still getting their 30%. And then I still have to go and try to get back the legitimate money, I guess, that went through. So that's the unfortunate, the other fight that we're trying to battle as well. So this is what will happen when you put your money through your Bitcoin ATM. They will give you out a receipt, and what the receipt shows, being a Bitcoin, the big one, you got your time, your transaction. This is your address, this long number and digits. That's what I need, that's what I'll use to track it. This is the amount that's sent, and then I'll use these two things to put into my system, where I'll track it, and then see where it goes, on and on and on. So if you guys know anybody that's been victimized or get victimized in a scam, I have to have that to work my case. The big scam I kind of explained. All right. So how to protect yourself? Biggest thing that I would say is, I try to tell people, do not get involved in cryptocurrency at all. I know some people will, just because they want to. I'm pretty well versed in it. I still have not bought any cryptocurrency. I've bought some ETFs and stuff, but I've actually sold that one already. But if you're going to buy cryptocurrency, if somebody is reaching out to you and telling you to invest in cryptocurrency, it's going to be a scam 100% of the time. Also, if you're buying cryptocurrency, you do not need to be sending it anywhere. You send it into a crypto exchange and just let it sit until it's going to get it. You can also do a cold and hard wallet, but I'm not going to get into the weeds on that as well. If you are going to invest, please do your research. Do not go on the Reddit, do not go on Wikipedia and all these other things. Coinbase, I believe, has their own features on there. Coinbase is very law enforcement friendly, and they will explain to you a process to be safe and how to properly invest. Correct, yeah, don't click on internet somewhere, they're doing a bunch of links now. So doing that as well. Also with AI is becoming another feature that I'm dealing with a lot of now. They're still using the romance scams of people that are meeting on Facebook, and they are doing video chats, FaceTimes with these people and using AI. So they will put the suspect's picture over their face and physically talk to that person. And if you've never physically talked to that person, you don't know that that's not their real voice. And they will talk to them and you'll believe it. And they have a little bit of lagging, but they'll just attribute that to being a couple states away or just internet service. And then people will believe it, and they'll believe they're definitely talking to the real person, and they'll continue to keep sending money. So that's another issue that we're trying to persuade people to when I talk to them and tell them, hey, it's clearly a scam. Here's your money. I'm tracking it. It's clearly not going where you think it is, and they still don't believe it. So. I think that pretty much covers it. Anybody have any other questions?
How was it started? You know, you were somewhere in the cryptocurrency and what do you think that's?
How did it start?
Well, how did it start and how did it work?
So it starts for a number of ways, just like your normal scams. And then the sending their money is how the cryptocurrency aspects are. So they can do sending the money through the crypto exchanges. So they have you develop that, and they tell you to send it through a Gemini account or a Coinbase account. They'll walk you through that whole process of that. Or they simply have you just go to the Bitcoin ATMs and have you put the money in through there. They have their own addresses and wallets. They have multiple ones, and they will give you their own address and wallet for you to send the money to. Once it gets sent there, then they put it into another address or wallet until they get to a point where they want to cash it out. And that's where I go do a seizure warrant, try to go take that money back.
Is it like they're holding the money for you? And they're charging you for holding the money? And then where that money supposed to go?
No, they're never doing that. So it's essentially like, have you ever heard of the gift card scams? Okay, it's essentially like the gift card scam. So all you're doing, the victim is unknowingly sending the money to the suspect, not realizing that it's an actual suspect. They think that they are being coached by somebody that is illegitimate, that can invest in the company. And so they're sending the money to this person, not realizing they're not a real person, and they're just trying to take it. And that's what's happening. It gets sent to that account, and then they do their money laundering aspect of it, and move it around so many times, and then they'll cash it out. Yes. Yeah.
Knowing your experience, have you ever been able to physically put your hand on
For cryptocurrency?
Oh,
I would say.
Elliott, what was the question? Repeat the question, so I got here.
Have I physically been able to put my hands on somebody for cryptocurrency? I will. Cryptocurrency or fraud? Probably about 40 years.
Thank you for your physically.
No, so I've been able to track. So the issue we've had is we got software now that we can actually track it much quicker. What we've been having to do it previously, we were having to do it by hand and physically writing out. And I can give it the week that of later. But it's just physically trying to track it out. Something that for a normal case would take me about 5 to 10 minutes to do on our software. It would take me about 5 to 10 hours to track by hand and make sure I'm doing it right. So that's the reason why the software is so beneficial, and I can work a lot more cases more productively, quicker. But majority of where these are going is they are going overseas. And they have big groups of people that are doing it, and that's why it is skyrocketing. I think Senior versus crime actually put up a stat on their Facebook page. I think with the United States it was 9.9 billion. So yeah, like 9.9 billion was last year is what cryptocurrency fraud was. It's just
So you know that it's going out of the country, but is there, I mean, it feels like without being close to it, that it's just like almost impossible to actually get to these big groups of people and try to actually make a dent. You know what I mean? Like it's great, and I applaud you tremendously for being able to, to get as far as you're getting, but are we ever gonna get to a point where we're gonna ever be able to make a dent in those big groups?
so what the goal is for us is a lot of times in our overseas is the goal is to take their money. And that's kind of how you hurt them. So the quicker we can track them and take the money in the search and seizure warrants, where I go and seize their money and take that, and that's where we kind of hurt them, because it's going to be hard for somebody in China for them to go and extradite them overseas. So if I can take 100,000, 200,000 or something from them, that really hurts them. Florida has one of the more of the statutes where it's a much more, I don't know if lenient's the right word, but we can do a lot more with taking more money than other states can from cryptocurrency. And we're FDLV, who we work with statewide, they're really good about being really aggressive with it.
Let me try to, things with cryptocurrency, they're gonna get better when our federal government puts stronger regulations on all these companies that are overseas and elsewhere when working within the United States. Like we have our FDIC, our federal our regulations with our financial institutions here. The same thing needs to apply to these Bitcoin companies also. Okay, so when that happens, cryptocurrency, better regulations, hopefully better things will happen for us too.
Do you see that coming?
They're working on it, but I don't know, I couldn't tell you when.
We're hyper-focused on immigration right now.
Well, I'll give you some advice. Trump just signed in a law last week, and I had a company that was not very cooperative over the past 7 months, and suddenly they became very cooperative this week. So,
You get a question back one of David. They get a question.
Earlier, you were talking about Venmo and Zelle. I know some people use them. Are they safe to use? What's your feeling about those two?
they're safe to use if you know who you're sending it to. I would physically have to know the person you're sending money to, but obviously just talking to somebody online that you never met out on sending money to. Just normal, if you're doing one of the wires, unless there's somebody who really knows, just same rules kind of apply.
Now, can I chime in on that one? That's a good question, a good thing. But with those things like Zelle and Venmo, sometimes the bad guys will have stolen somebody's credit card information or bank card information, and they use that, and they'll send that money to your number, to you. Somehow they have your information, whatever, they'll send it to you. Oh, you know what? I accidentally sent this money to the wrong person. Can you send that $2,000 back to me? And when you do, guess what happens? That money goes to them, but then the credit card company reaches out because the money originally went to you, and they're going to take whatever they have to back from you, and you're going to be out $2,000. So if the money goes to you, say, you know what? The bank will come and get it, and just leave it alone. Let them deal with it.
One thing I want to add too that we didn't talk about is some of us are old school, including me too as well, and that goes as far as dropping a check in a mailbox or dropping a check in a mail drop box out here, and then thinking you did it right by actually going into the mail, even the mail post office. Our units work a lot of what they call check washing, or basically the checks are actually stolen out of the box. They busted a major ring in Miami where the checks were being sent to Miami, basically overnight courier service. The thieves were going down there, they washed the checks. You think you paid the pool guy, $500, and now the check is being written for $5,000 with your signature, your check, same check, and now it looks legit and it's cash, and you won't catch it until 2 or 3 weeks from now when the company calls you and go, hey, you didn't pay your 6-month bill of pool cleaning for $500. Yes, I did. I wrote you a check and I got cash, or it's being cash, whatever. So that's one thing we don't recommend. I hate to say it, we're not trying to scare you, but we're trying to prevent you from being victimized, because these suspects don't care about you. It's just a fact of the matter. So do the things like take the extra step of going maybe in the mailbox, right? Going in the mail post office and dropping it in there, or giving it, of course, to the mail carrier. But even your mailboxes too as well. We had a ring we were working where the master key for the lock boxes on the mailboxes at the post office were actually robbed and stolen from mail carriers, or sold on the black market, our mail carriers. So those are just some things you gotta want. And the other thing I want to tell you too, I just wrote down a note when Detective Fultz was talking. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office will never call you and ask you for money. Doesn't happen. We don't do that. If we do something, it's an event like this where we're raising funds for our police athletic league, where you physically come and touch and talk kind of thing. So we never call you and ask you for money. So don't give them any money at all. And the other thing I'll tell you this too as well. Unfortunately, in these times and ages, you've got to get up or get somebody you know and trust to get up and physically go somewhere. So he brushed real quick on Telespoof. So I have a Telespoof app. When I worked homicide for 12 years, I used Telespoof app because I could call you and it would show, Pam Smith, Texas number, because you know Pam Smith based on my research I did on your name on Google Earth, on Google search. So basically, right now, the other day, my niece who works at the driver's license office, she got a call from St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, 904-824-8304. That's our mainline number, our WASH number. That wasn't us. I can call you from that number right now and show you whoever I want to show. So it looks legit. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but hey, do you mind, can I call you back? No, and he said it. They do not want you to hang up. Because what you can say is like, if you don't mind, I'm going to call you right back on the main line of the sheriff's office. You'll call that same number and we'll have no clue what you're talking about. So you just got to do your homework. Unfortunately too, as you get older in age and also medical stuff going too, whether you're young or old, you got to trust in somebody, right? To actually kind of help you out with some additional information. Meaning, hey, I just got this interesting text and it says I didn't pay my tolls. I just went to Miami last week. I get them all the time. Yes. If you click on that, you just bought it, especially if you have your PayPal on your phone or you pay on your phone. You just bought it. And now what they did was they got smart. They started doing Georgia. Georgia now sends you those text messages. They don't send text messages. You can call a real number online, validate, verify. But if you don't have an account with them, how would they get your cell phone? Think about it. How would they get your cell phone number? But I do have an online account. But I went on the account and I was like, I didn't pay my tolls. It's very possible, by the way. But anyways, I didn't pay your tolls. But I have direct connect from my personal credit card. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to do your homework. Get up. And I hate to tell you this, and don't take this the wrong way. Local banking, where the human being, is the way to go. You can go into a bank, you go to the old counter like we used to do back in the old days, and you just spend a little bit extra time because you know it's actually being done, the transaction's being current. So, yes, sir.
On that check washing business, are there certain pens that you could use to write a check that can't be washed?
That's a great question.
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
I've heard that there are.
I can tell you this, whenever there's technology to stop something,
Okay.
the fraudsters are going to figure out a way to do
Yeah.
it.
So don't think about this. The other day, I'm not sure if you guys remember this, we actually made a firearm with a 3D printer bought from Staples from $49.99. We made a 3D Glock firearm and 1 round out of it. We got 1 round out of it. And then we were all scared. But we made a firearm with a 3D printer, $49.99. We bought it at Staples, 3D printer. Yeah, so it's amazing. And by the way, these criminals have nothing better to do besides victimize you. And think about it, even if you call 100 people and you get one person to bite on $1,000, that's not a bad day. $1,000 a day for a criminal, right?
I'll take it.
Sure, but they're going to tell you, we got criminals that have confessed to 500 phone calls a day. And think about it, 500 here, 50 here, 100 there. And the other thing too, nobody will call you and tell you to pay in gift cards. Nobody will do. Think about it. And we get, and by the way, this is not insulting anybody's intelligence too. We get victimized and all kinds of people saying, I just gave 50 gift cards for Target because I ran a stoplight. Like, oh my goodness gracious. This was my mom's neighbor and she's 52 years old. So it's nothing to do with age. It just sounded marketable and she's like, I probably did. Green Cove Spring, probably did. So again, just make sure you do your homework. You can call the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. You should have it programmed in your phone, the non-emergency number. And here it is. The non-emergency number for the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is not my cell phone. The non-emergency number for the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office is 904-824-8304. 904-824-8304. That is our generic non-emergency number, right? In your mind, you make it up of what non-emergency is. It may be, and it'll go through some prompts. You want to talk to our jail, you want to talk to our comms is number 1. And it will say, do you want to talk to a deputy sheriff and or make a report? You push 1, You'll get our non-emergency dispatchers in the sheriff's office. How can we help you? I just got this interesting phone call from the Social Security office, and they're telling me I gotta send $50 in gift cards. I mean, I'll give you an example. Most of the time, they're gonna say, we'll have a deputy sheriff call you, or we're gonna have somebody come and see you. I'm like the customer service. Your sheriff likes to be, I like you to see my human being, my deputy sheriff. And let them just come and educate you real quick and let them look and see what you have. Or they may push you off into one of them if they're available and just run through the facts real quick. But if someone calls you from that number and says you owe something, say, I'll call you right back. You call that number yourself, punch it in, and then you'll get what is an automated service. And that means you call the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. And that's what they do for a living. I want to give them some news, but they don't know this, but I just allocated 3 additional positions to financial crimes. And actually, so I was just texting, I apologize, but I was texting their director, which is in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division, and their other boss, which is Commander Cronin, and they said they just sat down. I said, figure it out. So they sat down and figured out they're going to reallocate 3 positions just for financial crimes to not get caught up, but again, to get caught up, right? And get ahead of the business, hopefully. So
I'm happy you're in a pig and mud right now. So I want to real quick say, yeah, I'm sorry.
I just would like to say about the credit card thing. I work for Publix, and I'm just a cashier. And it amazes
You're the key to the store, trust me.
and it amazes me, and it's very sad. Our management is really good at directing the cashiers that if somebody's coming to buy a bunch of gift cards, we always ask, do you know this person? Because you would not believe how many people I have had come to my line. And I say, wait a minute, I gotta get my manager, because I don't think you really should be buying these.
There are, and I'm glad that, and I can close on that. A lot of people there are doing a lot better job of this than they did years ago about educating them, or at least trying to warn them. And sometimes they're not going to listen. They'll say, don't worry about it, but you've done something. And banks, same thing. We're working with the banks, financial institutions about the tellers, talking to them, or at least getting a hold of us so we can call them, things of that nature. So it's happening. I'm glad you're doing that there
and
too.
also with Western Unions,
Yeah,
people come in to send money through
100%.
Western Union.
here's a funny follow-up story for that, right? So Ward Pate is the manager of Publix down in southern St. Johns County. He calls me himself, and I coached both his sons in football years ago. He called me and said, hey, I don't mean to get your mother's business, but she just came in here and bought like 20 gift cards from Publix. I'm like, my God, that's amazing. So I called my sister. I was like, hey, go by mom's house and see what she's doing with the gift cards. So my sister goes by there. I send one of my deputy sheriffs by there, and she goes, I can't buy you kids a Christmas card for God's sake. Backfired.
Now, it's okay. It's okay. It's better to check, right? So, one important thing, I mean, there's so much out here we're talking about, and I know there's only so much time to talk about it, so I definitely want y'all's questions. We want y'all's questions. But how many here do use your computer or your device for your finances? Same computer you use for finances. How many use the same one for emails, shopping online, and all that kind of stuff? How many do that? Be honest. Okay. Think of these things as kind of simplifying it down. I know everybody's on a budget nowadays. I know I am all the time, right? But devices are really inexpensive. You can find one that's not super strong or powerful. You don't need it. You should have a standalone device that you use just for your finances, for your banking, for your investment accounts, or whatever, anything to do with your money. Have a standalone device that you do nothing but that. On the other device, check your emails. Go shopping, looking online, surfing the web, whatever you want to do. Because somewhere along the line, you're going to click on something that's going to download malware, spyware. And if you do that on the computer that you check your finances on, that's where you're going to get the trick bag of, you're going to wake up one morning because somebody overnight had gotten your passwords and usernames and all that because they've been watching you with spyware and malware the whole time for months, and maybe who knows how long. And they're going to just transfer money out of that account while you're sleeping because they got control of your computer and your information.
How do you check your cell phone to see if there is any viruses or malware?
You need to take them in, and there's different companies, businesses, mom and pop businesses. I say you got places. Examples would be I say Geek Squad. Even though I don't endorse them, I just say keep places like that you can take your devices in and get a forensic analysis done of your device, and they will check for malware and spyware.
But the
Yes.
provider of your cell phone service, like Verizon or
You can talk to them, and they'll recommend somebody for you.
Oh, they can't do it?
Usually the phone company, they're selling, they just usually set up your phones, get it activated. They don't know how to do all the electronic, as far as the high-tech stuff. You're gonna have to
I
go to
mean, can't
an,
they just tell if it's infected?
probably not. You're gonna have to go somewhere and pay someone, an expert to do that.
I will tell you this, though, there's a question here too. I don't mean to say, I'm not promoting any companies at all.
Right.
But I got compromised. This is the best part. Went down to Disney World with our family. The next thing you know, I'm buying groceries in Mexico. Seriously. So of course, I purchased a thing called LifeLock. I think I pay $36 a year for the darn thing. And LifeLock, I mean, it goes through your self-checks. It's not gonna catch everything, but it's another safe way in your phone. So that's what I put on mine. So when I went to AT&T, they said, I recommend you put LifeLock on your phone. Well, I kind of went through it, saw the reviews on it. You know, of course, everybody's, subjective, argumentative. I put LifeLock on there 4 years ago. I mean, I really don't pay a whole lot for it. But think about yourself being victimized for thousands of dollars for a $36 investment. So I'm not saying that's the only company. There's probably a bunch of companies out there. 5 years ago, $100 a year. But now there's so much competition out there. But that one's pretty tried and true out there as far as the LifeLock identity theft out there. So it goes through your credit. So if your credit starts getting like applications for your credit, it alerts you on your phone. Mine vibrates, and then it will say, alert. You'll click on it saying you just applied for a credit card at, Chase credit card. I'm like, no, I did not. And you can actually say, is this you or not? You say no, and then they do the homework for you and cancel that you just applied for a credit card if it wasn't you.
Can't you just freeze your accounts and that won't happen?
On some of it, but he was saying freeze your accounts. Of course, if you got everything kind of squared away, that's another way. You can freeze everything too as well. Yes, sir. That's just another backup because on the LifeLock, if someone takes your personal identification, social security card, and your birth certificate, your birth date, and try to go open something, it might not pick up on your frozen accounts. Does that make sense? There's ways around this, and I say that because they call it quick cash. If you're a military person, you've been in the military. Remember the old quick cash? You go outside the base and get quick cash. That's what quick cash is.
They don't really check your credit.
They check nothing. They just give you cash based on some type of, you own something, give me the title to your car. This is military, that's how good they treat us. But anyways, you go outside, you give the title to your car, and they give you $500 cash. That's not gonna go through that credit check. So you just gotta make sure, because bad people know that. Bad people know that if you go to these certain places for quick cash, they're not gonna run it, you're not gonna be alerted, and they're gonna get away with it for quite a long time. So